Hello everyone. Welcome to your easy guide to English section, and today we are going to continue with the synonyms and antonyms. So we started this topic in the previous lecture and this is the part 2 of the same lecture. So let's start building our vocabulary with synonyms again. So which of the following words is closest to the meaning of the words provided? So the word provided is generic. So you might have heard of the term generic medicines. So if you can try to figure out what the word generic means. Does it mean general or cheap or fresh or elderly? Like elderly ka kya tuk hai? Like it doesn't even make sense in the options, but okay. So the word generic means general. So the phrase generic medicines means general medicine. So in the product labeling, generic medicines are non-branded, but they have the same chemical composition as the branded ones, and hence they are more affordable. So even there is a government scheme about that sells the generic medicines at affordable rates, so that poor people who cannot buy the branded expensive medicines so they can buy the generic medicines. So generic means general. So in the context of generic medicines, they are used in the context as non-branded medicines, but with the same chemical composition. So which of the following words is closest to the meaning of the word qualm? A. Distress. B. Impunity. C. Persevere. And D. Scruple. So the word qualm means a feeling of doubt, worry, or unease, especially about one's action or morality. So sometimes people say have no qualms about it, or have no like if you're in the process of some sort of decision making. So a friend might say, "Oh, have no qualms about it. Just go ahead with this." So it means that don't have any doubts or worry, or like don't have any doubts. Just like you're right in your thinking, just go ahead with it. So qualm. So that's what it's a feeling of doubt or hesitation before you're taking any action, and it's mostly in terms of morality, that whether it is correct, like it's the right choice or not. So that's qualm. So it's originally it used to be described as a sudden faint feeling, but eventually the word developed into meaning moral hesitation. So I mean actually the word qualm in the like ancient time or in a older period, it actually literally meant some sort of faint feeling. So now that is not a faint feeling but a feeling of just doubt and hesitation, sort of hesitation. The word distress means in great pain or suffering. You might have heard the term distress call. So some if you are feeling really terrible and if you want to call somebody, so it's a distress call. So great pain and suffering. Impunity means freedom from punishment. The word persevere means to keep going despite the obstacles. And scruple means a moral hesitation or doubt. So for the question, the answer is moral hesitation or doubt. Okay. So what is the meaning of the word vary, or which is the closest in the meaning to the word vary? A. Calm. B. Curved. C. Confused. Or D. Cautious. So vary, the word closest to the meaning of the word vary is cautious. So be wary of deals that seem too good to be true. So be cautious of the deals that are too good to be true. Okay. Calm, it's patient or like peaceful. Curved, confused, Now, which is the word closest in meaning to the word distort? Wrong, evil, deform, or harm? So, distortion, the closest word is deform, to twist out of natural shape. So, like distorted means something, dis means it is just some sort of negative is happening, or some movement, or some out of shape kind of thing is there. So, dis is usually, for example, disappointment. So, it's like appointment is a positive feeling, disappointment is a negative feeling. You're disappointed with something. So here it is distort is something is in shape and something out of shape. It twist it out of natural shape, deform. Sumptuous. So the word closest to the meaning of sumptuous is delirious, gorgeous, perilous, luxurious. Sumptuous like, sounds very uh, luxurious sorts. It's actually luxurious. The word closest to the meaning is sumptuous. So people say that, today we had a sumptuous meal, or they hosted a sumptuous feast for the royal guests. So it's very something very luxurious. I mean, the word itself sounds very sophisticated, no? Sumptuous. So the word closest to the meaning is the luxurious. The word delirious means wildly excited or mentally confused. Delirious. Okay. Gorgeous. Oh, I don't need to tell you what gorgeous is. It's quite popular on social media. So I assume you know the word gorgeous. Perilous. It means full of danger. Peril is to be in perilous danger. Perilous, full of danger. Sumptuous, closest to the meaning, luxurious. Okay. Now the word reel, and this is not your Instagram reel, so be wary, be cautious when you attempt the question. So A, whirl, B, fish, C, hit, and D, mistake. Which of the following words is closest to the meaning reel? So reel means whirl, to feel like, spinning or that kind of thing. So I mean, before the Instagram and the social media made this term so popular, it used to mean this only. I mean, reel used to mean to stagger or spin as if unsteady or feeling dizzy. Sometimes when you like spin and you are like, you can't just spin in a very normal manner. I mean, one would be getting unsteady like this, because you cannot be just, you're not a like a physical instrument, so there will be some sort of unsteadiness, so that is reeling. So the another word very close to that is whirl. So reel is whirl. Fish, hit, mistake, so an example would be the boxer reeled backwards after a hard punch. So somebody when punches the boxer and the boxer is like moving like this, so like spinning a little and moving in an unsteady haphazard manner, so like that. So that movement is called reeling. Now the another word is inscrutable. So what is the closest word to this meaning in meaning? That is difficult, mysterious, inflexible, or vary. So we know the word vary by now. Vary means cautious. So cautious is not inscrutable. So inscrutable. So you can figure out that it is some sort of related to the word scrutiny, and the scrutiny is to check, to scan sort of thing. So the word in before scrutable means negative of scrutiny. So something that cannot be checked, something that cannot be scanned. So that has to be something mysterious. So the word would be mysterious. So inscrutable means impossible to understand or interpret clearly. You cannot scrutinize it, sort of. So it's mysterious because you do not know. If you cannot scrutinize it, that means you do not know or understand it. Then it is mysterious. So uh, the option B would be the choice here. And you can use the word like his expression was inscrutable, revealing nothing. So if you look at somebody and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is this person thinking, you cannot really figure out because the expression, he has a poker face. Now what does the word poker face means? Again, in terms of expression, the word poker face means that you're not showing any expression. One cannot figure out if you're happy, you're sad, you're angry, or you're thinking, or what. So that's a poker face. Poker is also a game of cards, so you're that's poker face. And here inscrutable means mysterious. Which of the word is closest in meaning to the word appall? A, delirious. We now know what is delirious. B, covered. C, dismay. Or D, confused. So the option is dismay. To look greatly shocked or horrify someone. So like people say, I was appalled to see the tragedy. So the cruelty of the crime appalled the community. Like, I mean, the crime was so bad. It was such a terrible crime that the whole community was horrified by it. So they were appalled by it. Appall is the highest version of being horrified. So you can use appall when like highest level of horrifying act you've witnessed. So that's appall. So here dismay is very like on the scale of dismay, horrified, appall. Appall is at the highest. So in this case, dismay is the closest to the meaning of the word appall. Okay. Which of these words is closest to the meaning? Upright. Upright is fairly simple. Honorable, horizontal, humble, or supine. So upright is honorable. You say somebody who's upright is a morally right person. That's an honorable person who really cares about their honor and dignity. So that is an upright person. Somebody who's a lot of integrity. Horizontal, horizontal lines or something straight, and like horizontal is like that. Humble, you know what humble is? Somebody who's modest, who's like s- would be a humble person. Supine. Supine means lying on their back. Okay. Reverie. Now, which of the words are the closest to the meaning of the word reverie? A palimpsest, B phantom, C daydream, and D curio. So the option is daydream. Reverie is rare or unusual object. So reverie is used in music and art to describe soft or introspective mood. So he drifted into reverie, imagining life on another planet. So something like daydreaming kind of thing. So what does a palimpsest mean? It's a manuscript written over another erased text. So in fact, I remember back in my university days, our college magazine was called Palimpsest. So it was based on this meaning that the manuscript written over and over. So in old days when the paper was not discovered, or even when it was a very expensive. thing. So manuscripts were written over, and then the text was erased, and then it was written again because paper nahi hota tha. It wasn't as common as it is today. That is writing and throwing away, tossing around the like filling up your whole room. So it was not the case. So palimpsest, a manuscript written over another erased text. Okay. Phantom is a ghost or illusion. Reverie is daydream, and curio, a rare or oh sorry, the meaning of the word reverie is wrong in the like question. So the right meaning is daydreaming. So like curio is a rare or unusual object and not reverie. Okay, I'm so sorry. Please be mindful of it. Please be wary of this when you are revising. Reverie means daydreaming. Us like you're just in state of you're flown in the state of reverie. You're in the state of daydreaming. A rare and unusual object is curio. Okay. Which of the words is closest? Loot. Now the word loot. Which of the following words is closest in the meaning to the word loot? A. Destruction. B. Waste. C. Spoils. Or D. Kavod. So it's quite easy. The word loot is very simple to the Hindi word loot also. Destruction. So the rioters looted the shop during the chaos. So the people who are involved in riots, they are called rioters. So they take away, they destroy the properties. So it's called looting the properties. They destroy and take away things. That's called looting. In the Hindi also, the word loot means that only. So it's very similar to the Hindi word loot. Spoils are the goods taken by force during war or chaos. So, in history or in some sort of history drama, you might have heard of this phrase that the spoils of the war were distributed amongst the soldiers. So, these are the goods they are taken by force during war or chaos. Kavot means to dance or jump about joyfully. Kavot is to joyfully dance. Okay. Waste is waste. Time waste. Loquacious. So, which of the following words is closest to the meaning of the word loquacious? Loquacious. Talkative, thirsty, beautiful, or complicated. So the right answer here is talkative. So because the word loqua is rooted in the Latin word loqui, which means to speak. So it is also related to speaking very eloquently. Even in the word eloquent, the loqua root is present in eloquin. Okay, so you see loqui, wherever you come across this word, you understand it is related to speaking, talking, something like that. So loquacious is talkative. The loquacious host kept the guests entertained for hours. That means the host, somebody who's hosted the party or something, that person was so engaging, so good in communicating that the person kept the guests very well engaged and entertained for hours. So loquacious, somebody who's good at talking. Okay. Now chimera. What does the word? Which of the following words are closest to the meaning of the word chimera? Chimney, protest, illusion, or panache. So the word is closest in meaning to the word illusion. So, for example, his idea of perfect happiness was a chimera, always out of reach. So, chimera is illusion. Now, the word panache, it means flamboyant style or confidence. I also remember, I don't know, I when I was looking at this question, I was remembered of the fact that in the movie Fashion, there is this company owned by Arbaz Khan. His company's name was Panache because it's the flamboyant style and confidence because the models were keeping that confident expression on the face and reflecting the vibe of the company. So Panache, I don't know. I've just told the story so you can remember the word Panache, very confident, flamboyant style. And chimera is illusion. Another fun fact that in Greek mythology, the chimera was a fire breathing monster made of parts of multiple animals. So, this is how the Greek mythology represented chimera. So, you can just remember illusion. So, okay, now temerity. Now, which of the following words are closest to meaning into the word temerity? Audacity, fearfulness, shyness, stupidity. So the word closest to meaning in temerity is audacity because it means reckless boldness and excessive confidence. Audacity is also boldness of fearlessness or daringness. Okay. So he had the temerity to challenge the senior professor. So that means he has the guts or he has the audacity to challenge the senior professor. So that's temerity. Fearfulness, fear, you're fearful of something, you're scared of it. Shyness, stupidity is simple enough. A lot of you might have been called stupid. I know I have been called stupid and shy and fearful. So I'm assuming you guys might know these words. Adduce. Which of the following words are closest to the meaning adduce? Demand, elicit, ideal, unlawful. So the word would be elicit. So adduce means to bring out or develop something latent, like a hidden feeling or idea. So elicit is to bring out something, to elicit a response. So if I'm trying to tell you stories and then ask you questions, I'm trying to elicit a response, bring out a response from you. So the teacher's questions help educe deeper response from the students. Educe is related to educate also, from both Latin educere and meaning to lead out. So educe, to educate somehow, or to educate and get a response. So it's both the words are encapsulated in this meaning, like I'm telling you something and I'm trying to, by that I'm trying to get a response out of you by telling you. So it's like that, elicit. Okay, educe and elicit, to bring out or develop something, like a hidden feeling or idea. Elicit. Hmm. Nabob. Now, which of the following words is closest to the meaning nabob? The word itself is so funny, no? You can remember nabob. So a bigwig, a doubter, a frolic, or a converse. So the word closest in meaning to the word nabob is a bigwig, an important or influential person. So nabob itself sounds like nawab, a bigwig. So nabob. In fact, the word nabob comes from the Persian or Urdu word nawab, used in British India to refer to the wealthy Indian rulers or British merchants who got rich in India. It later got evolved into a term for any rich or powerful person. So nabob is like nawabs. So you might have heard of nawabs of Awadh. So, nabobs, bigwigs, influential or important people. Pal. So, which of the following words are closest in meaning? Light, satiate, carry, or horror? Horror. Pal. A dark, heavy, or oppressive atmosphere, often used metaphorically to describe gloom, sadness, or dread. So, the closest word in meaning to the word pal is horror. A pall of silence fell over the crowd after the announcement. Originally, a pall was a cloth used to cover coffins, hence its association with death, gloom, and dread. Pall. Pall, how else can you remember? Yeah, I mean, piece of cloth that was used to cover the coffin, so it's become like something dark and heavy, so something horrifying. The word satiate is also related to the word satisfy. So, satiate is to satisfy fully. So, I've had feeling satiated means feeling satisfied. So, satiate. The word sacrosanct. So, which of the following words are closest in meaning to the word sacrosanct? Prayer, a sanctuary, pious, or sacred. Sacrosanct, you must have heard in Constitution also. Fundamental rights are sacrosanct in some of the cases that you might be doing. I don't know. It was in one of the rulings when fundamental rights and fundamental duties were being ruled upon, and directive principles also. So the word sacrosanct means sacred. It is derived from the Latin word sacrum, which means sacred, plus sanctus, that is holy. So sacrosanct emphasizes something that is doubly holy, spiritually and socially untouchable. So sacrosanct. Fundamental rights are considered sacrosanct. They cannot be touched. I mean, of course, there are exceptions. Some can be, and there have been many instances of modifications, additions, subtractions, but more or less, majorly, they are sacred, doubly holy. They're holy. Louche. So, which of the words is closest in meaning to the word louche? Gauche, fine, brilliant, indecent. So, the word closest is louche. Like from the name itself, it feels like lucha kind of word, like something very indecent, morally questionable or shady, especially in a way that's strangely attractive. Louche. So louche comes from the French word and originally meant squint eyes. Squint eyes like somebody's eye, like you small squint eyes, or like squint is actually a problem. I'm sorry, squint is actually a problem in the eye when like jisko in Hindi we say bhanga. So it's this little like you're looking straight, but your pupils are slightly sideways. So that's squint. So louche comes from the French word which originally meant squint-eyed, metaphorically implying morally blurred or suspicious. So the squint-eyed person has a problem in the eyes, that their eyes are slightly towards right or left, but even if they are looking right. For example, if you're looking this way, your pupils would go this way. If you're looking this way, your pupils would go this way. So if for a normal eyed person, for a squint person, you wouldn't know which way they are looking because there's some sort of defect. So that's a squint-eyed. So squint-eyed and somebody who's morally blurred or suspicious, that you wouldn't know where their actions are going. Are they going in the direction of morals or not? So it's developed something from that sort of context. Okay, so it's often used in art, fashion, or literature to describe seductive but inappropriate behavior. So artists are like known for the sake of art doing certain things that are not very socially acceptable. For example, MF Hussain, his art is considered great by some artists, but it is socially very controversial. He's banned from certain countries. His arts are banned also. So those kind of thing, it could be attractive to some from the arts point of view to some artists. I'm no judge. I don't know, but again, it's very inappropriate. So that kind of thing is louche, morally questionable, but in like some sort of attractiveness is also there. Now, stentorian. What does the word stentorian mean? Which of the following words are closest in meaning to the word stentorian? Violent, misbegotten, loud, or stealthy? So the word is loud. The speaker's stentorian voice filled the auditorium without a microphone. So named after Stentor, a Greek announcer in the Iliad. So Iliad is a book that I mean based on Greek mythology, whose voice was said to be as powerful as 50 men shouting at once. So stentorian. So there was a man called Stentor who was an announcer who was very loud. So they've made a word out of his name. Wow. And created a problem for us to remember another word. Stentorian. So stentorian is a very loud person. Just remember that. Which of the word is closest in meaning to the word hustle? So A, dance, B, hurry, C, busy, or D, clean. You might have heard the word hustle culture. So it's hurry. Like in metro cities, you see the hustle culture. Everybody's in a hurry. Nobody has time to sit, calm, relax, just chit chat. No, hustle. It means to move quickly or with urgency, often with energy or force. It can also mean to push forward aggressively or informally, to work hard and actively, especially to make money. So in that show called Suits, the very well representation of hustle culture, because the lawyers are involved in like moving around cases and cases, trying to work around with the clients, sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a morally questionable way. So that's hustle culture. It refers to work centric lifestyle that glorifies constant productivity, long hours, and relentless ambition, often at the expense of rest, relationships, and mental health. So that's also a very commonly used term, hustle culture. Which of the following words is closest in meaning to the word Solomon? Solomon is word you must have heard of, at least if you had taken any pledge in your life. So amusing, harmful, speech, serious. So the word is means serious, something like in a dignified manner or in a sincere manner. The courtroom fell solemnly silent as the verdict was announced. So in a like very serious manner, it was silent. Everybody was very serious and silent. So it's not just silent, but that kind of vibe of the place is also reflected in the word silence here. So she gave a Solomon promise never to lie again. So a promise is just a promise, but a Solomon promise is a very dignified, in a very coming from a very serious, dignified manner, that it's a Solomon promise. So it's not just a casual promise, it's a Solomon promise that I'll never lie again. It's often used in legal, religious, and ceremonial contexts. Solomon. Which of the following words is closest in meaning to the word ramble? So A, not, B, confuse, C, wander, or D, wonder. The word to ramble is to walk aimlessly without a fixed route, especially in the countryside, or to talk or write in a long-winded, disorganized, or aimless way. So rambling means just just haphazard manner. It could be walking, it could be talking. Just there is no fixed aim that you going to somewhere, or there is no uh, fixed subject you're talking about, just rambling around. So it's depending on the context, it is mostly something done in a haphazard manner. So they spend the afternoon rambling through the countryside, enjoying the fresh air. So if you're on a vacation and you decide, okay, let's just go wherever we feel like, there is no specific destination that you've decided, you just go on just walking around wherever you feel like, you take the turn, whenever you feel like you're walking straight, whichever road you feel like you take it. So that's rambling, aimlessly walking around. Or could be in the context of talking also, that yeah, you're talking about something and then you went on to some other subject and then you're like talking about something else. You're not really discussing a matter. So that's rambling. So wandering, that's very similar to the word wandering. Now wandering and wondering, very similar sounding, but they're different. Wondering means, to wonder is to be curious, or to be amazed. So when somebody says, I was wondering if you can come with me, I was thinking, I was curious, you will, if you will like to come with me or whatever. So that's wonder. And wander is to walk around or to go aimlessly. What does the word means? Knot means it is a fastening made by tying a rope. Just a knot. Just when you tie a rope and you put a knot in it, a gatki in Hindi, it's gatki, but like you put a rope and you tie it. So that's knot. For example, when you tie also this triangle, that's a knot. So that's a knot. Which of the words is closest in meaning to the word placid? A, calm. B, lazy. D, Solomon. Or D, devious. So now you know Solomon is serious, so that's not placid. What is placid? Placid is calm. So, and devious means dishonest. She remained placid even during the heated debate. So she remained calm. Placid sounds very calming also. I don't know because I knew the meaning or not, but the word itself is very pleasant, very calm. So placid lake reflected the sky like mirror. The calm lake, I mean the lake, if there is no movement, only then will it reflect the sky properly. So placid. So it's not like acid. Placid, very calm. Okay, I don't know, it didn't make sense, but you can think of any story to remember. Pleasant, calm, and acid is playing. No, not making sense. Which of these words is closest in meaning to the word rake? Hin, scoundrel, gentleman, shovel. So now in this question, if I did not know what rake is, I'll assume that it is something either B or C, because two very opposite words are given. So the the examiner is trying to confuse you between these two words. That maybe you have read the word scoundrel and you cannot remember whether the meaning that you're thinking of is antonym or synonym. So it's either scoundrel or gentleman. Let's see what it is. It is a scoundrel. A rake is a man of immoral or promiscuous habits, especially one who behaves irresponsibly in matters of money, drinking, and women. A loach. Loach is still a playboy kind of person. A rake is a playboy, yes. So promiscuous is somebody who has no character. Very sexually immoral person is promiscuous person. A promiscuous act is very amoral act. Sexually, mostly used in terms of sexual things. So promiscuous is that. So a rake is a playboy kind of person, a scoundrel. So that's a scoundrel. And gentleman is an antonym for the word rake. Okay. Now, speaking of antonym, here comes the category antonyms. So let's start antonyms now. What is the antonym of the word cherish? I cherish this memory. I cherish this time that I've spent with you today. Somebody says that. Now, what would be the opposite of that? Treasure, foster, abandon, or nurture. So cherish means to treasure something, that I'm having a good time, and that's why I'm saying I'm cherishing this time that I'm spending with you. So the opposite or the antonym would be to abandon, like I am having such bad time that I would want to abandon. So that would be the antonym. Foster, nurture, treasure, these are all positive words. Which of the word is antonym of chastise? So very similar sounding to cherish. Chastise. Chastise means to criticize somebody. Now the antonym would be cheer, to punish, to reprove, to scold. So we have to think of opposite now. For antonyms, be wary, be cautious when you come across it, because we have a tendency to just look for the words in the sounding same or meaning same. So when the antonym has been asked, be very careful and just choose the word that is opposite. So opposite of chastise, that is to criticize, is to cheer someone. So that would be a cheer. What is the antonym of the word chaste? So we did cherish, chastise, and now chaste. Very similar. What is the antonym of the word chaste? So chaste means pure. Somebody who's chaste is a very pure person. Immaculate is also very perfect and pure kind of thing. Lustful or honorable. Honorable also we did upright, a very dignified person. That's honorable. Lustful. So lustful is full of sexual desire. Lustful, a playboy. A rake. A rake is a lustful. Somebody who's lustful would indulge in promiscuous behavior. That the words that we did before. So the antonym of chaste would be lustful. Secession. What is the antonym of the word secession? So you might have heard in newspaper the word ceasefire agreement is there. To cease is to stop. So ceasefire agreements are when there are the countries are fighting. So there is an agreement that for some time or for what, for the longest time, whatever, we'll put a stop to the fight. So that is a ceasefire agreement. That for ceasing the fire, the fighting that is going on at the border. So secession is to stop. So the that is pause is a synonym. Hindrance is again an obstacle. So that would also be a an obstacle would stop something. So that is also not an antonym. Continuity. Continuity would be an antonym because secession is stopping. Continuity is just something still not stopping and moving. That would be an antonym. The correct answer would be continuity. Intermission, so you know, in the movies when you watch a movie and there is a interval, so the screen says intermission. That's interval or some like between two things. Interval in the lunch time that you have in the school days also, that's also an intermission. So that is intermission. What is the antonym of the term catastrophe? Now catastrophe means a calamity, some sort of disaster is a catastrophe, or for a human a breakup could be a catastrophe, some sort of calamity, disaster, or something of that sort. Some tragedy is also a catastrophe. So misfortune, again, if some disaster is there, so definitely it's a misfortune. Fortune is something nice. When you say, no, fortunately, I found 20 rupees when I was looking for change in my purse. So fortunately, something happened by good fortune. Miss is always giving a negative feeling, including miss in before a word is a negative thing. For example, a miss a women is negative. No, not at all. For the people who are very sexist can remember like that. So misfortune. So that would be negative of the fortunes. For example, misappropriation of funds. So that is embezzlement. That is somebody who is doing cheating in the like in money matters. So mishap again, something good is happening. Mishap is some sort of catastrophe, some calamity. So the word antonym here is prosperity. Prosperity is you're having good time and you're like having good money wise and everything is good. So you have a prosperous life. There is no tragedy, there is no catastrophe, there is no misfortune that has impacted your life. So your life is a prosperous life. So that would be the antonym here. Caricature. What does the word caricature means? So it means cartoon kind of thing. So that's caricature. In technical terms, there's a difference between caricature and a cartoon. But for the purpose of English vocabulary, you can imagine it's the same as cartoon. So parody, exaggeration, precision, ridicule. So cartoons are funny because they are an exaggeration of reality. So the cartoon, the nose is big. For example, you imagine Mickey Mouse. You see the big nose. No mouse looks like that, but that's an exaggeration. Big ear, exaggeration. So an exaggeration is sort of similar to the word caricature. Parody is also an exaggeration. For example, something when you're telling a funny story, you exaggerate certain things to increase the level of humor or the punches that you're telling in the story. So that's also very similar to caricature or exaggeration. Ridicule is also again making fun of something that's very or something stupidly stupid. So that's ridicule. To ridicule somebody is to make fun of them. So again, they are similar, similar in meaning. The word precision is something that is very apt. For example, exactly the amount required. That's precision. So that's an antonym of the word caricature. Okay. The answer here would be precision. So, for example, this Sachin's caricature. So you see, his nose is made big, this and this, all this thing. So this is a caricature of reality. Exaggeration is there. It's not a precise representation of how Sachin looks. So precise is the antonym, and caricature, exaggeration, and all these words were similar in meaning. What is the antonym of the word caress? Caress means to caress somebody, to touch somebody or something in a gentle or loving way. For example, if you have your pet and you caress them, that's touching them in a gentle manner. That's caressing. So to hug, to snuggle, to embrace. These are all similar sounding words. When you like snuggle with your loved ones, or embrace is to hug, and hug is same hugging. So that's all similar to caress. To repulse is like you be just so disgusted by something, you're repulsed by it. Something that is very evoking very negative feeling. So feeling of aversion. We did aversion also, the word aversion. To be driven away by something. So that's repulse. Feeling of aversion. That is an antonym of caress. Okay. What is the antonym of the word captivity? So captivity is from similar to the word capture. So the antonym of the word captivity would be freedom, because captivity is from the captures. For example, kidnapped. Somebody who's been kidnapped is living in captivity. So the word opposite would be freedom, because the word restrain, confinement, apprehend are all representing captivity. Restraining order is issued if you want somebody to be not allowed around you. So that's restrain. They're restrained away from you, or to restrain somebody is to limit them. Similarly, confine them in a, say you want to confine somebody in a room, so you limit them in a room. So it's sort of similar in meaning to the word captivity or capture. Okay. Captivate, now very similar in sounding as captivity, but captivate is also very similar in meaning also, but there is a slight difference. Captivate is somebody, you are captivated something, your attention is captured by something, it's so nice. So fascinate, lure, enchant, disillusionment. So when your attention is captured by something, that means it's very nice, that's why your attention is going there, so it's attractive. Fascinate is also same, to lure something, is trying to attract something. So some say a kidnapper is trying to lure a kid with a chocolate, so they're trying to get the attention of the kid with a chocolate to I mean the kid is attracted by the chocolate and they go with the kidnapper. God forbid this doesn't happen. So that's lure, that's fascinate, enchant, they're all similar in meaning, very similar to the word attracted. The word opposite, the antonym, is disillusionment. To destroy somebody's belief in good opinion or somebody or something. That is, you're disillusioned. You're not like you're going away from it. So it's the opposite, disillusion. So you're feeling, if you're very disappointed by something, if you're like just preparing and you're practicing a lot and yet you're not getting a good score, you're very disillusioned with your preparation. That should not happen. Momentarily this happens. Like this is a phase and this can happen to anybody, so do not carry on with your disillusionment, but that's a temporary phase. That feeling is called disillusioned. So you have to lure yourself towards hard work and get out of that phase. Okay. What is the antonym of captious? That is somebody who's tending to find fault. So Sasuma kind of person, somebody like a mother-in-law kind of person. So somebody who's just trying to find faults in things. So laudatory, critical, carping, or irritate. Which of the following words are opposite? So laudatory is very similar to the word applaud. So to laud somebody is to appreciate someone. So laudatory is antonym of the word captious, because captious means to find fault. Laudatory is to be appreciative of somebody, to appreciate their good work or anything. Critical, critically analyze. So you have to look at the negatives also. That if you're being critical of something, you're being very sharply and you're looking at you finding the criticism of it. You're finding the faults in it. So it's very similar to the word captious. Carping is also continuously complaining. Irritate is again you're irritating, just tending to find fault and that kind of mood, irritate. So the word antonym of the word is laudatory. What is the antonym of the word capable? So the antonym would be qualified, suitable, incompetent, or able. So very easy. Incompetent. Capable is somebody who can do something, who's qualified, who's suitable for the job, who is able also. Incompetent, somebody who is not competent for the job. So it's the antonym of the word. What is the antonym of the word calumny? The word calumny means defaming sentence about somebody. Now, the word antonym would be aspersion. No, aspersion again is very similar to the word calumny. It means to defame, trying to attack somebody's reputation. Accusation again, you're trying to accuse someone, put some sort of allegation on somebody, something. Say someone has committed some crime and you're allegating it to that person, you're accusing that person that you have done this. So, again, very similar to attacking somebody's reputation. Defamation, again, defamation cases are there. There are so many suits of defamation. So if some political leader has said something bad about other political leaders' reputation, that is, they have attacked their reputation, then this other political leader whose reputation has been attacked can file a defamation suit. So that's defamation. So all these words A, C, and D, they mean attacking somebody's reputation. The word be, praise. To praise somebody is to be laudatory. That is to say something good about them. To laudatory we did in just few questions ago. That was laudatory, to applaud, to praise someone. So that would be the antonym here. So the correct option would be option B. What is the antonym of callous? Now, the word callous means not caring about meaning and suffering of another person. So, callous. So, a callous person is, of course, indifferent. He doesn't care about other people. That person can also be called heartless because that person is not sensitive to other people's feeling. Again, that person can also be called unfeeling because that person is not feeling, does not have any feeling for other people's. They don't have any regard for other people's feeling or requirements. The antonym would be tender, to be soft, to be gentle. So a tender touch is caressing, the word that we came across, caressing. So that's tender, very soft. So if somebody is very tender hearted, they're very sensitive, they really care about other what other people are thinking, or about the feelings, not hurting the feeling of other people. So that's tender. So that's antonym. What is the antonym of the word eradicate? So you must have heard eradicate poverty, to finish it, to completely uproot it. To eradicate something is to just erase it completely, wipe it off. So exterminate, you know the meaning, the word, the movie Terminator. So somebody who living the Terminator is someone whose job is to finish, to terminate, to end something, the existence of something, completely ending the existence of something. That is the job of Terminator. To exterminate is to just finish something, end it completely. So that's very similar to the word eradicate. Abolish, to abolish something, some laws, to abolish something is to ban it, to finish its existence. To remove, again, to like remove it, to move it forever, that would be removal, to delete something. So A, C, and D are very similar in meaning to the word eradicate. So the answer here is restore. So something that is not in existence or something that has discontinued, to restore it, to bring it back to life. So it's the opposite of the eradication. So the correct answer here is restore. What is the antonym of equivocal? Equivocal means without a clear, single clear or definite meaning. So something that is very unclear, kind of. Equivocal is very unclear. So it's very vague. Vague is again very unclear. Hazy is something which is very, haze is something, a smog kind of situation. There's a lot of haze. That means there is a very there is very less visibility. So that's hazy condition. So hazy, again, if there is very less visibility, so there is lack of clarity. So something that is not very clear. Uncertain, something not very certain, so there is a lot of confusion, you're not very certain about it, so that's very uncertain, not clear. Option C here is lucid. So lucid means something very clear. Lucid reminds me of the word placid. What does the word placid mean? If you do not remember, please go back and look at it. Placid. So lucid here is clear. Placid there was peace, very peace and calm. Yeah, calm. What is the antonym of epitome? So epitome means a perfect example of something. So that's the epitome or peak of something. So uh, the word expansion, summary, miniature, precise. So the word precise, miniature is something, if something is present in big form, if you just compress it and do present exactly same thing in a very small form, that's miniature of it. Summary is again just a short version of a long thing. So again, summary is also a perfect example of it. The main idea, suppose summary of a 5-page long text. So the main ideas, if written in a paragraph, would be the summary. So it's again the perfect example of what the whole text is. Just giving you that one paragraph is giving you a whole reflection of the whole text. What are the main arguments say in the whole text? So again, very similar in meaning. Precise is also something which is very uh, apt representation. So that's precise. So again, very similar in meaning to the word epitome. The word expansion is the opposite. That is in something that has been expanded, a more broader version of it rather than precise and bang on the apt version. So contrary to that, expansion is a wider, broader, more generic version of something. So that's the antonym of the word epitome here. Enormous. So the word enormous means huge. The word colossal is also huge, spacious, something has a lot of space, so it's huge. Immense, again, People say I'm immensely thankful to you. So something like I'm very, very thankful to you. It's like a lot of thankness is filling my heart at this point. So thankfulness, not thankness. There is no such word as thankness. I'm sorry. So the again, immense, spacious, colosseum. Colosseum, if you can remember the word colosseum. Colosseum, sorry, it's colossal. Colosseum is that uh, building in Italy, I remember, called Colosseum. So it's huge with pillars and everything. If you can picture that with the word colossal. So it's huge, enormous, big. So the word of antonym would be trivial, something not very important, like less important thing that can be ignored, small. That's trivial. So trivial. So sometimes they say there is a trivial fact or trivial detail, a very small. No, trivial detail could be oxymoronic. That's something very unimportant and detailed also. So trivial is something very unimportant, small kind of thing. That's trivial for you. Enlighten. So to enlighten is to make somebody understand something. When you say, no, enlighten me. For example, if it were a normal class and somebody was giggling, I can just say that, okay, enlighten me about what is going on there at your desk. So that would be just tell me, make me understand. Enlighten. In a more formal sense, enlighten somebody means to really educate them, to really make them understand. So word educate is again very similar in meaning. Illuminate. So illuminate is again when I am enlightening you and I am brightening your horizons. Such that means I am sort of helping you understand. So there is, I am bringing brightness in the darkness of misunderstanding. Something, if you can picture it like that. But illuminate is again very similar to enlighten. Elucidate is again when in questions also you might have come across that xyz happened. Elucidate, so describe it in a better, in a more detailed manner. So educate, illuminate, elucidate, all these words are similar to the word enlighten. There was also an era called era of enlightenment. So there were so many discoveries that happened in that era, so many theories and philosophies that developed in that era. So that is age of enlightenment, because there were so many good things happening in that period. So enlighten. The word opposite or the antonym is obscure. Again, it means to hide or something like that. So it's opposite. Okay. What is the antonym of the word enjoin? It means to instruct or urge someone to do something. So the word direct, command, or counsel again is very similar to the word enjoin, to instruct somebody or to urging somebody, directing someone to do something, commanding someone, ordering someone to do something. You're counseling somebody, you're trying to help them with something and guide them in doing something. Forbid is to stop somebody. So that's an antonym. Forbid someone doing from doing something. So that's an antonym. What is the antonym of the word endurance? Patience, tolerance, despair, or submission? So the answer is despair. So patience, tolerance, these are all the meaning of word endurance. To in having a lot of endurance means a lot of patience or resilience to last long. So that's endurance. There is this protein brand, I suppose, that's called Endura Mass. That means it helps you build a lot of, for gym going people, a lot of resilience in gym. So that's enduromas, a lot of, I mean, you can remember the word endurance from that. So the word opposite would be despair, state of having lost all hope. So there is no resilience, like you've lost everything. That would be despair, an antonym. What is the antonym of endowment? So the endowment means money that somebody gives to a school, a college, or another institution. The act of giving this money is endowment. And the word very similar in meaning is bequest. When somebody write their will and they give their property to their say sons or daughter, that is they are bequesting something that that you arrange to be given to somebody after you have died. So bequest. To bequeath, sorry, bequesting is again wrong word. To bequeath. Benefit, damage, gift. So the word damage would be the opposite. Benefit, you're giving the benefit of your property to somebody, again on the very similar lines. So benefits again are the things that you're getting as an advantage or something in some sort of form. Gift, again somebody is giving you some gift. So that those are all on the, so relatively similar to the word endowment. The damage is the antonym here. Endeavor, to try hard. So the word antonym would be to cease. We did the word cessation just a few minutes ago. Cease is to stop. You stop trying, sort of ceasefire. You stop. So cease is the word antonym here. Venture. Venture means a project which is new and possibly dangerous because you cannot be sure that it will succeed. So that's venture. Undertake, struggle. They're all similar on the similar side. So venture capitalist also you might have heard. So these are the people who invest in startups and newer business. So the risk rate is high, but they get good returns also. They are venture capitalists. So that's also not an antonym for endeavor. Undertake, struggle, none of these. Cease, to stop. What is the antonym of the word fabricate? To fabricate something is to fabrication is sort of lying kind of thing, or to lying again is you're trying to bring a lot of different facts and fabricate a new fact out of it. So that's fabrication. So you can say build, construct, or produce. Those are the words fabric, very similar to the word fabricate. It's also used in the legal terms, fabricating the evidence. That is, you're trying to, build, create an evidence. So that was not the evidence that was found, a real evidence of the, say, crime or some happening. Fabrication is you're building it. So it's again very similar to lying because you're trying to create some reality which does not exist. So that's fabricate. So build, construct, produce. These are on the similar lines, while the word dismantle is the opposite, because mantle is building, sort of. Dismantle is to, I mean, destroy, or it's not really destroying, but it's taking parts again out. So if you're bringing them together and you're just taking the parts away, that's dismantling. So suppose you bought some furniture from IKEA and you built a bed by putting in nails and putting the planks together. And if you're taking out the nails and taking away the planks, that's dismantling the bed. So that's antonym to the word fabricate. Okay. Now, what is the antonym to frugality? Frugality is being very wise about your money. So, for example, the best example for frugal person would be a mother in a regular household. So they are not really miser is somebody who's very conjuice, who's like very very stingy about the money. They don't spend it. That's miser. Frugal is somebody who's very wise about their money. So that's frugal, like like usually mothers are in a household. Now, what would be the antonym? Extravagance, thrift, providence, or parsimony. Extravagance, extra word in the starting itself. That means you're being very flamboyant and very luxury, sort of rich about your money. You're not very wise about it. You're like very flamboyant, spending money on luxury things as well. So that kind of thing is extravagant. So that's the antonym of frugality. Thrift, you must have heard of thrift stores. So these are the places where you get clothes at a relatively cheaper rate. So these are thrift stores. So thrift is again very similar to frugality. Providence, making provision for future. So you're trying to save. Provident fund is also there where you put money for future. So again, it's very similar to frugality, saving money for future kind of meaning. Parsimony is also very frugal person is called a parsimonious person. So that's the antonym would be extravagance in that case. What is the antonym of the word frivolous? Of little weight or importance. So frivolous means something very like not important kind of thing. So a trivial thing could be a frivolous thing, something very small thing. It's very trivial mistake, something very not important. Frivolous again, very small, in very little in weight or importance. That's also frivolous. So capricious, essential, petty, or worthless. So essential, we know something very essential, which is like mandatory. So that's essential, cannot be replaced. So it's obviously the antonym of the word frivolous. So petty mistake, petty theft. So these are again very less in importance kind of thing, not very major. Petty, worthless again. Worthless, though a lot of people in your age group you might have heard from your elder siblings or something. Oh, you're worthless, useless. There is no worth in you. Or worth of something is the value. So if you have no value, you're worthless. So that's worthless, petty, capricious. These are all very similar in meaning to the word capricious. Capricious is also very it's similar to frivolous. It is something not very important. So the antonym would be essential, something very important. For example, oxygen is essential. for your existence. You cannot do without it. So it's of like great importance. So essential is the antonym. What is the antonym of the word frantic? So frantic is just like being wild and like, for example, if you lost something and you're searching for it, frantically searching for it. So that expression is frantic. So it's very similar to the word wild or violent also. That after that tragic incident, she was frantic. She was like violent. That's like that expression of a lot high energy. That's violent, frantic. Agitated, somebody who's um, very disturbed by something, that's agitated. So the word gentle would be the antonym. So somebody very gentle, that's antonym. Gentle, who's very soft. So it's the antonym of the word frantic, which is wild, violent, and agitated. What is the antonym of the word franchisee? So the word franchisee has two meanings. That is, one is right to vote, for example, used in the terms of universal adult franchise, and official permission to sell a company's goods or service in a particular area. So sometimes you might have seen there is a shop that used to sell burgers, and then one fine day that shop has got a label of McDonald's. So that means that shop has bought the franchisee of McDonald's. So now they can sell in the name of McDonald's. So they might be giving some money to McDonald's also for using their name, and then McDonald's also tells them to use certain kind of products only, which is so that their brand name is maintained. So that's also franchisee, taking that McDonald's franchisee. Now the word suffrage is also similar to right to vote. There was suffrage movement of women for gaining the right to vote. So that's suffrage. Again, very similar in meaning. Privilege is again some sort of, when you're in position of power, you have some privileges. So it's not really right, but something similar to that only, that you can do a lot of things. So it's not your right, but by virtue of your position, you have those privileges. So that's also again very similar to franchisee. Patronize. So back in the old days, or even today also, there are patrons who provide patronage to, say, artists or somebody. So they are providing protection, resources, or an ecosystem for some artist or some one to flourish. So that person is called the patron. So they patronize a person. So it's sort of giving them very similar to franchisee, that they are giving them permission to produce or to flourish, to keep doing their art. So that's a patron. So that's patronize. So again, very similar in meaning. However, now in like colloquial terms, in the normal conversation terms, the word patronize is not used in a very positive sense. So if I'm trying to patronize you, that means I'm trying to portray that I am superior to you, because a patron is always a superior. So they used to say kings used to be patron back in the old days. So they used to give patronize artists. So the artists would make paintings for the king. They would make nice paintings of the king. So that was the relationship between the patron and a patronized. So if I'm trying to patronize you, that means I'm trying to act as a superior, and and portray you as somebody who's inferior. So you should not patronize somebody. So it's a very colloquial terms these days. So, but in here it is used very similar, like on the similar lines to the word franchisee. So the word opposite would be oppression, to oppress somebody's rights, to like not allow them those rights. While the other words, they are like giving privilege or giving ecosystem to produce or giving right to vote, those kind of things. So here the answer would be B, oppression. So what is the antonym of the word fragments? So the fragments means parts. So like something is different parts or different fragments. Scraps again means the same, different parts. Residue again, some leftover of something, so a part of something. Sections again, different sections, different parts of something. So the antonym would be total, a sum of something as compared to the parts. Scraps, residue, or section. What is the antonym of the word fragile? So fragile is something very delicate. So if you're in the airport and if you have some sort of very delicate thing in your suitcase, you ask the people, I mean the airport people, to put a sticker called fragile. That is something very delicate thing is there in your suitcase, and it should be handled with care. So fragile. So somebody who's very delicate. For people, they are called frail. Sometimes people who are very thin. For example, I am kind of skinny, and I've been told you're so frail, you'll fall down. So if there is a like if there are strong winds, you'll fly away. Those regular jokes. So that's frail. Brittle again. Some you might have heard this in science. Brittle metal. Some metals are brittle. Only only sodium is brittle. Otherwise, metals are not brittle. So brittle something soft, something that is soft. Weak again. Weak to something who's that is not strong. So robust means strong. So the word antonym of the word fragile is robust. That is strong. Forsake. So what is the meaning of the word forsake? Forsake is something has been given up. जहाँ पे like for example, for Afghanistan, it is often said God forsaken country, that God has also given up on it because there are so many wars. There have been so many wars in Pakistan. To disown, to desert, or to renounce. So BCD, these words are very similar in meaning to the word forsake. To have given up on something, to disown something, to desert is to leave something, to renounce, to give up. So these words are similar in meaning. Maintain is to maintaining something. You have not given up and you're still continuing to be with that, or you're maintaining it. So that's the antonym here. Formidable. What is the antonym of the word formidable? So if you have a formidable enemy, that is some like it's a very big and like huge, it's a very challenge, a big challenge. That enemy is a big challenge for you. So that's formidable, a dreadful, dangerous, invincible. Invincible, somebody who cannot lose, who's always winning. That's invincible. So formidable. So Britishers at one point were a formidable challenger for Indian people. So they were invincible. British Empire was invincible at one point. So those words are similar in meaning: dreadful, dangerous, invisible, invincible. So they are all formidable, remain closer to the meaning of the word formidable. While the word harmless is the antonym. So something that is formidable is dreadful and dangerous, harmless that cannot harm. That is the antonym here. Forerunner. So forerunner again, it means ancestor or precursors. Forerunner to something is something that comes before. Predecessor can also be one of the synonym. So ancestors are the forerunner. They've come before you. Precursor again. Precursor to something that has led or starting off something. Pre word again is something that comes in the starting. You have pre boards, before boards. Precursor, something that is in the that leads to the start of something. Pioneer again. Someone who has done something for the first time is called a pioneer in that field. Successor is something that comes later. For example, if I am a teacher, if I leave this job and someone who comes and becomes a teacher, that person will be my successor. So that's the antonym of forerunner, because forerunner is like ancestor who's been before. Okay, forerunner, like before. What is the antonym of the word foe? Foe means enemy. So foe and a friend, enemy and a friend, like a lot of times they are used together. So adversary, contender, opponent, they are all very similar in meaning, and a friend would be the antonym. So foe means enemy. So with this, we have come to the end of a very long series of synonyms and antonyms. I know it can be a little overbearing at times, but if you just go through them and just try to build some story or some sort of weird fact around it, you might remember that word. But like I've said in the starting of the lecture, at the starting of the previous lecture, that the best way still to build a vocabulary is reading, because when you're reading, you're understanding that word in the context there itself. So the sometimes the context also stays with you, and hence the word also stays with you. And also, if you're reading newspapers regularly, you come across the more relevant words. So these are the words that catch even examiners eye, because they want you to know these words, because these are very relevant words in the, say, context of some legal case that you're reading, or in the context of some national development that you're reading. So the best way to go is keep reading the newspapers or the text that we've discussed before. So that's the best way to go about building the vocabulary. And for these, just go through these videos once or twice and build your own weird stories around each word, and you'll be good to go. Okay, thank you so much.